If six strings is your thing, then you'll know my next guest without any introduction. And if you're not familiar with him, guaranteed you'll be a fan of his after you watch this interview. I present to you, from downtown Toronto, here at the Mod Club, Andy Timmons. Well, welcome to Toronto.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here and chatting with us.
No
I
problem.
know your schedule is crazy.
It's usually kind of wacky when you're traveling like this, but happy to do this, happy to be
Well,
here.
thank
And congrats on your YouTube channel.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
That means a lot coming from you.
I love that. I love anybody that takes their career into their own hands and decides, okay, I don't have to wait for somebody else. I'm going to do this no matter what. So good for you.
Well, I appreciate the support,
Yeah.
so thank you.
No problem.
Now, you were in Detroit yesterday,
Yes.
Toronto today,
Yes.
Montreal tomorrow.
Yes. We're in the middle of 12 shows in a row. We had 13 shows before that in a row with like one day off. So it's been a manic schedule. But I actually kind of like that. I like the fact that you get this adrenaline and this momentum going. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
But sometimes days off just kind of takes away the momentum. Then you got to build it back up. So, yeah, it's blurry. But the shows have been going so great. Uli and Jennifer are such great artists, and the whole band and crew.
Right.
I love hanging with. So it makes it doable. You know what I mean? So.
Now, how do you stay mentally and physically ready for each performance? Because you're hitting 34 different cities in the span of 6 weeks.
It's pretty crazy. Music helps center me. Not only the playing part of it, but the listening part of it. I mean, usually when I'm touring, I have something that I'm obsessing over.
Right.
And right now, there's two artists. One is Korla Pandit, he was a organist pianist from L.A. in the mid '50s. He packaged his image as he was from New Delhi, like he's Indian. He wore a turban, very exotic, beautiful eyes. But it turned out after he passed away, they found out he was an African American from Missouri who created this character. YouTube him, Korla, Korla Pandit, Pandit. I'm just kind of fascinated with his story and his music, and it's very like early. What do you say? Exotica. It's very, everything's very, sounds Indian or Eastern.
Yeah.
And so I'm obsessing over that, but I listen to the Ziggy Stardust record every day when I'm like if I have a time to have a shower or something.
Yeah.
I put on David Bowie, and that's my favorite David Bowie record. So I'm that keeps me centered. I have this ritual of something I listen to, and it keeps me happy, it takes me to the happy place when things are stressful and there's a lot going on. So those are two things, and you just try to get as much sleep as you can. And sometimes it's difficult because you're in this, bus packed full of people. The concerts are the most important thing, and I'm getting a lot of exposure for the first time in North America that I really haven't had with my own music. I've toured with other bands, and I've toured internationally a lot.
Right.
So this is really one of my inaugural North American tours playing my own music. So thanks to Uli for inviting me out to do it. So it's been really great.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned you are on tour with Uli John Roth and Jennifer Batten.
Yeah.
Have the three of you collaborated before at all?
I think Jennifer and Uli did some tour dates in Europe a few years ago. So I think that's how he kind of was thinking about her. And then he had met me a couple times. Simon Phillips is his all-time favorite drummer, and Simon I work with in a fusion band called Protocol. Then I think he was doing a music class in Plymouth in the UK, and this guy just happened to put my music on in the car, and he really liked it, So I thought, I remember this guy. And so when he was putting the tour together, he could have probably chosen guitarists that were more famous than me to be on the bill, but I think he recognized that we would have a simpatico, and he was very correct, because every night we all do our own set, and then we all jam at the end.
Right.
And if you stick around tonight, you'll see that we really come from the same place spiritually, I think, when we play, and there's a lot of magic that happens. So his instincts are great, you know what I mean? So I've been very honored that he chose me. And I've gotten to know a lot about him because, to be honest, when I'd always known his name, and I've seen the image and the strange guitar that he played, but I really didn't know his music. For whatever reason, I didn't know the old Scorpion stuff and his solo stuff. So I'm very happily now, I'm very well aware of what he's accomplished, and he's amazing, very influential guy. He's just he's very quiet about it. That part of it doesn't matter to him so much, which I can relate to, because it's always just about the music and what's satisfying your own spirit and your own personal desires. It's not about money and fame all the time.
Right.
A lot of people think it is. I learned early on.
And you have that value too, right?
Well, I learned it from my years in Danger. I had this image of, by the time I get signed and I'm in a major label band, I'm on MTV, and that's what we were doing. But I realized, wait a minute, this is the antithesis of what I really want, though I thought that's what it was.
Yeah, right, at the
so
time,
after that experience, which was invaluable, it just kind of informed the decisions I made after that, as far as the music I chose to make, the people that I chose to make it with. It's being happy is way more important than all these other things, because
Right.
those material things and fame, that never provides it.
No. But happiness, you deal with that every day too, right?
I can get that every day just with myself and the people that I surround myself with, and music is a big source of that, and always has been. I think that's why I'm still doing it.
Right.
I think that people would get discouraged early on when they realize, hey, wait a minute, this isn't paying the bills as well as I hope. But like you're doing, you kind of learn how to, okay, I've got to figure out ways of doing this. It's not going to come to me. Sometimes I'm going to have to figure out.
Push myself.
And for me, I was never a great self-promotion person, but I diversified. I loved all styles of music, and I wanted to learn how to do it. So
Right.
I did study hard, even though I was self-taught from the age of 5 to 16. At 16, I knew this was my calling. I knew it's what I was here to do. So I sought out a teacher, learned how to read music. Then I studied in college. I was a classical guitar major for 2 years, and I was a jazz guitar major. So I was always playing, all kinds of rock and roll and pop stuff, anything I could learn. And I'm still a student. I'm still hungry to improve. I feel like a beginner, But that's when I realize I'm happiest. If I'm learning all the time, if I'm continually in that mode of like when I was in college,
Yes.
that's when I'm the happiest. And it's easy to get away from that when life takes over. You
Right.
get busy and you got stuff to do. So, but I make time every day to practice now, and just kind of keep nurturing that part of my growth. Hopefully, yay.
Well, and I saw on Facebook that you posted a photo of yourself trying out Yuli's Sky guitar.
Oh man, yeah.
Is there a different technique to playing it?
Well, very much so. One thing is it has an extended scale length in that there's, I don't think it's 27 or so frets. Usually guitars are 21 or 22 frets,
Right.
some 24. But what's unique about it also is that the fretboard is scalloped, meaning usually there's a solid wood surface underneath when you're fingering the fretboard.
Yeah.
But with a scallop, the surface is taken away. So the string has an easy give to it. Guys like Ritchie Blackmore started doing that back in the early 70s, and Yngwie Malmsteen has been a big proponent of that. But I think Uli was probably inspired, Yngwie to do that. But it's a really unique feel. But I loved it, and I think that I was thinking this was going to be difficult, but it wasn't.
Oh, good.
Then he took my guitar.
Yeah.
And when he gets to know Uli, he always has these funny things to say. So what is this Mickey Mouse guitar? What is it? But he said, "Oh, that's quite nice, actually." Then he kind of grew on him.
Yeah.
He really liked my guitar. So there's a picture of both of us playing each other's guitar. I'll have to post that later.
Yeah, you will.
It's very cute. Yeah, he's a very sweet man, a very, very cool, calming presence.
Do you think you'll explore that style of guitar more often now?
I want to. That's after playing his guitar, it made me think about, well, maybe I'll take one of my, because the guitar that I play is the original prototype, but they make a factory-made version of it. It's my signature guitar,
Right.
the AT100 and the AT10. So I could probably just take one of those that are great guitars, but I'm not playing as much. So I can experiment a little bit, maybe scallop the fretboard on that and see if I can make it work. I think it's because it's a unique sound. It makes it sound different,
Right.
And you play differently, and I like anything that inspires anything fresh.
As you mentioned before, this is like your first big major North American tour promoting your own music.
Exactly. Yeah.
How do you choose a set list?
Well, I knew that I would have, because I've been getting emails and Facebook, forever, like, why aren't you touring the States
Right.
or Canada,
Yeah.
So I know I've got pockets of fans out there. So I figure, well, there's going to be people coming to see me, but I also realize there's probably going to be a lot of people at each show that have never seen me.
Right.
So it actually was kind of pretty easy because I know what songs that have been fan favorites for years.
Right.
Songs like Cry For You and Electric Gypsy or
Yep.
Deliver Us. So it kind of the set list kind of made itself. I was like, well, there it is. Okay, how long is it? Perfect, okay.
Now, you are releasing another album
Yes.
this year.
Soon. Yeah, it's done, yeah.
Oh, it is? It's completely finished?
Yeah, we just have to mix, yeah. And it was, in
Ooh.
fact, some of those tracks were the ones we were doing when we did the Sgt. Pepper record.
Yeah.
But the Pepper thing just kind of took on a life of its own. And so now we're finishing some of those older tracks, but we wrote, newer tracks along the way.
Right.
So Mike Dane, my bass player, is really producing this record and engineering it. And it's really turned out great. Really happy with the songs. There's some really
What can we expect?
it's hard. Okay,
What can
now
you tell us?
now that I've done the Resolution record and the Sgt. Pepper record with only one guitar, no overdubs, no
Right.
keyboard, now we're like, and I wrote all the songs kind of to be done as trio, but now I'm
Yes.
like, well, what if I want a little keyboard? What if I want a little, extra guitar? Now that I've taken the handcuffs off a little bit, now we're experimenting around with those kind of things. But the bottom line is I'm really happy with the songs. I think they're really good songs.
Right.
Some of them don't really even have guitar solos per se. They're just a nice arrangement and a good melody and a good tone, we finished all the tracking. We have some mixing to do, and I go right after this. I go to Europe with Simon Phillips again.
Yes,
so busy time for me, but we have a couple of weeks, so we're going to try to do the majority of the mixing, and so we're hoping to get it out late summer. And I want to come back in North America in the fall.
Now, on the new album, is it all instrumental, or will it be a combination of music and lyrics?
No, this time it is all instrumental. I've cut some other vocal tunes, but I'm not really sure where they're going to fit yet. But yeah, I still write vocal because I've done some vocal stuff in the past. But the last couple records, I decided to let my guitar do the singing, you know.
Yeah.
But no, I love writing vocal tunes, and you know, sometimes I'm happy with my voice, sometimes I don't like it so much. But when the time's right, there's some good songs in the pipeline, as we say. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's stuff that I really want to finish because I like the songs.
Yeah. Well, I have to ask you, going back to instrumental songs, how do you choose the title? Because there's no lyrics to go with it.
Well, sometimes it's very. It depends on how the song was written. There's some songs like "Gone" that was written on 9/11 as it was happening. So there's very specific, and there's a couple of songs that are very sad on my next record. One is called "That Day Came." It's about one of my cats. She died.
Oh no!
It's silly to think about songs written for your cat, but there's actually
a nice tribute.
There's 2 cat songs on my record. One is called "That Day Came," and it was my wife and I. Before my child Alex was born, we had 3 cats, and they were our kids. They're they're our babies, right? And we would just kind of go, oh man, I don't want to even think about when that day comes. Think about it, because nothing.
Well, nobody wants to lose their pet. They become a family member.
All things must pass, and you get very attached. But this one particular cat was, it's my wife's soulmate, and this cat passed away, and so this song kind of came out of that emotion of like that day came. But it's meaningful specifically in that way.
Right.
But it's also something that it's unavoidable. We all passed away, all our loved ones, some before us, some after us, and so it's a kind of a song that recognizes that emotion and that reality.
I know you're a big fan of Chet Baker.
Oh gosh, yeah! Wow, you do your research.
Thank you.
How cool are you? Right?
Thank you. What about his music really spoke to you?
I've rarely heard any other musician be as personal and in the moment as Chet Baker. I just, there's a lot of, stories about him where he wasn't the greatest guy. He was a lifelong drug addict. And so drug addicts, make bad decisions because they have this habit, right? But when he's in the moment musically, I don't hear too many other players play with that purity of intention. I don't feel like a lot of preconceived ideas. He seems very much in the moment. That's really rare. It's hard to attain. It's what I strive for. So when I hear that in somebody that I can really, admire and try to learn from, and Bill Evans on the piano is very similar. Bill Evans' version of "My Foolish Heart." I've never heard a piano player get such emotion out of a piano. Now Jeff Beck on the guitar is another guy that has that to a very high level. Pat Metheny's another guy. But this is a small list that I can really feel that from, so, and it's what I aspire to. When I grow up, that's what I say. When I grow up, I want to be Chet Baker and Jeff Beck and Pat Metheny rolled into one. Yeah,
well,
my biggest heroes, yeah.
I have a fun fact for you.
Okay, fun fact.
I'm not sure if you know this or not.
I don't know if I know it.
But the movie Born to Be Blue.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No, but it was done here.
It was premiered in Toronto.
Okay, I thought some of it was done here, wasn't it? Or was it? I heard about it. I knew about it. I was thinking Toronto and Born to Be Blue.
Okay, yeah. Well, it was premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival, and Ethan Hawke was just here a couple of weeks ago, and now you're here.
Well, see there, folks. It was meant to be.
It was.
No, I'm anxious to see it. When I heard that Ethan Hawke was going to do it, I was like, okay, I think he might do a good job. So I'm cautiously optimistic that it might be good. I hope it's good.
It has great reviews.
Oh, good. Okay.
It does.
Well, I look forward to seeing it. I did I don't know if you saw the tribute I did at
Yes,
Chet.
I did. And you were right by the window.
Oh man, I get choked up thinking about it. But it was a very emotional moment for me. Yeah. And how it all came to be. So
how did you get in that room?
I was in Amsterdam for my wife's grandmother's 100th birthday, and I had a morning kind of free, and I thought I would go. I just was going to sit out in front of the hotel and play a tune just because I knew that's where Chet passed away. And so when I got there, I got to know the guy at the front desk, and he could tell that it meant something for me to be there.
Right.
And he says, well, you can. The room is available. You can, if you ever want to stay here. I said, is anybody in there now? It's like, well, no. And I said, do you think I could play a song? Yeah, come on. I'll send my guy up. He'll film. I'm like, it just happened in this moment's notice. It just came to be. And I literally hurriedly. Didn't have time to think about it. And I played what you hear me play.
Yeah.
But the way the church bells start ringing and the wind starts blowing through the window.
It just all fit in so
No,
perfectly.
it was crazy. And Diane Favrin, his last girlfriend, saw that and thought it was beautiful. And so, it was a very poignant moment. So, why I did that, why is that so important to me? I don't know. But
if he means a lot to you, then it is important.
But I'm always that way. I'm a fan. Whenever I go see bands or something, I have no trouble taking an album and asking for autographs. I've got a studio full of stuff from all my favorite artists, so.
And did you feel his presence though when you were in that room?
In a huge way.
And you worked with Olivia Newton-John for 15 years.
Yeah.
I've been a huge fan of hers since I saw Grease in high school.
Right, sure.
What was the best part of that experience?
Being her friend.
Yeah.
She's a dear, dear person, a great friend of mine. Learned a lot from her. She's one of the most gracious people I've ever met. No air of superstardom. She just, you meet her and you've known her forever.
Yeah.
But she's also an amazing musician. She just, her sense of time and pitch, and she takes care of her voice.
Right.
Very, very much so. But just her nature and her selflessness and her giving was very inspiring. She does a lot.
And you'll be instructing again at Paul Gilbert's Great Guitar Escape in the summer.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Even though it's held in the States, everybody, people from all over the world, come to participate.
Absolutely.
How do you prepare for the retreat?
I just try to figure out, if they need me to teach a specific type of course, I can put a curriculum together. There's a lot of it I don't really need to plan. I like to tailor my teachings to the people that are in attendance.
Yeah.
Last time I did the one with Paul, it was G4 with Satriani and Keneally and Paul and myself. And the first two people I met had just gotten there from India. And they'd saved all this money, and they were just the sweetest people, and it meant so much for them to be there. I just happened to run into them in the parking lot of this resort in Cambria. It's like, and so we just knew it was going to be a good week. Yeah, people come from all over. And so this new one is going to be myself and Paul, Bumblefoot Ronthal, and Kiko Lareo, and Bruce Boulier. I'm probably forgetting other people, but it's this incredible. And Paul, I have to say, just of course, he's one of the greatest guitar players ever, but he's just a good, fun guy. He has a beautiful, uplifting spirit. He's a fan, so he's just a fan, and I maintain that same kind of thing. And so when we get together, we have a great time,
And what do you take away from that experience?
The energy of the other players.
Yeah.
Always, because when I was in Miami, the 2 years I was a major down there, a jazz major, the teachers were great, but it was the other players that were, the people that are like-minded. They're hungry for knowledge. They want to get better. You can't help but absorb some of that, and it kind of gives you fuel in your jets to go, yeah, okay. And you see, because of course the teachers are great, but you see all these other players like, wow, okay. Everybody's got stuff to offer, and you can learn from everybody, no matter what level. So it's a very reciprocal type of environment. We're there giving as the teacher, but we're receiving a lot as well. So I love being in that situation.
Right. How is it juggling being a father, a husband, and a musician all at the same time?
I make every decision based on my son, and my wife too. But since he was born in 2004, I've turned down a lot of work. Really famous bands or whatever. If I was going to be away too long, or with people that I didn't think I would really enjoy being with, no, I learned how to say no.
Right.
Before my son was born, I had a hard time saying no. I would just kind of do anything that came along.
How many guitars does he own?
He has one,
okay.
But he doesn't play it that much. He's playing trumpet.
Really?
He loves Chet Baker.
It runs in the family.
Yeah, well, maybe so. And he's got a great tone, so who knows? But he's in the school band. He's playing. It's pretty cool. Yeah, sweet.
Well, thank you so much, Andy.
Thank you so
I
much.
really appreciate this. Thank you. Good luck to you. Enjoy the rest of your tour.
I will, yeah.
I know you're only in Toronto for tonight.
I love this. I love Toronto. It's one of my favorite cities in the world.
Please come back.
Hopefully later this year.
Yes,
exactly.
My new record comes out. We'll have to get together again.
That sounds great. I would love that.
Well, thank you so much, Andy. Enjoy.
Thank you so much. We're being serenaded by Uli John Roth and his band now. Old Scorpions in the background.